if you need to just focus on basic concepts, we have to start with NCERT class 11th and 12th. So if you see first one, if we talk about NCERT class 11th, we have one chapter called environmental chemistry. It is there in our chapter 14 from chemistry book. So let's try to understand in this class, let's try to understand some of the basics about environment and ecology. And before we go on to our actual class, let's try to understand some of the basic approach, how to proceed with environment and ecology, right? So we have to understand why it is significant and what is the trend analysis in environment ecology, likewise. And apart from that, like what are the books and resources, we should understand that also. Like, can you say any book with reference to environment and ecology? NCERT? Good. Yes? Shankar IAS? Okay. Good. Let's see what are the various resources which are important for preparing environment ecology, and what is the significance and how we have to proceed with reference to environment ecology. Let's understand all of them. Okay. So first, if we talk about the significance of environment from pre-point of view, every year at least 15 to 20 questions have been asked. And even from 2018 onwards, there is an increasing and escalating tendency of asking questions from environment and ecology. Are you aware that there is common exam for both? Yes, there is common exam for IFOS and Civil Services Preliminary Examination. And if you are opting for anything, if you are opting for IFOS, obviously there would be a lot of questions have to be asked from environment and ecology point of view. So this is the most important, but this is the least focused subject by many aspirants. And many of the aspirants will ignore this subject, thinking that we are not from this background likewise, but don't do that mistakes. Like why means winners don't do different things, but they do things differently. Same thing they will do differently. Winners don't do different things. So what we have to do, we should do something different from others. When we do that, then we can see some sort of positive results. Okay, that means different outcome we can see. See, if we see from pre-point of view, from 2018 onwards, this is the trend analysis. In 2018, there were 10 questions have been asked from environment and ecology. So in 2019, there were 16 questions. And in 20, there were 15 questions. And in 21, you can see 21 questions have been asked. See, anything more than 15 to 20 or nearer to 15 to 20 means it's very high from pre-perspective. That means roughly 1/5 portion or 1/5 questions they are getting from this topic. So that's why we have to focus. In 22 also we got 19 questions. So this is the basic point analysis on environment and ecology. So did you get to understand what is the importance from pre-point of view? And graphically same thing has been represented here. So questions, this is how it is increased. And if you see in mains, it's not much focused in mains. Much focused in the sense, roughly hardly we'll get 2 to 3 questions, hardly amounting to 25 to 35 marks. So though it is not much important from pre-mains perspective, but in order to write mains, we should clear pre. So without clearing pre, how can we write mains? So from that point of view, we have to focus much on environment and ecology. Okay. So if you see from mains perspective, like in 19, we had 2 questions, 25 marks, 115, 1 10 marker. And in 20, we had 3 questions amounting to 35. So 35, 35, 35, 3 questions, 2 10 markers and 1 15 marker question. So this is how questions have been asked in pre as well as mains. And there is regular concerns related to environmental pollution, climate change, and issues with reference to biodiversity, threats to biodiversity, loss of biodiversity, likewise. So from that perspective, we can expect so many questions in interview also. Okay, so from that perspective, try to focus on this section. It is very, very important. Okay, so that is one thing. Then let us try to see what are the important books and references that you should follow. Now we got to understand how many questions will be asked in pre. So roughly it is 15 to 20 questions. And what would be the nature of questions? Nature of questions? Will it be static or will it be dynamic? Yes. See, some questions would be static. That means from basic, they will ask some questions, and some questions would be dynamic. Dynamic in the sense, it would be interlinked with current affairs. Interlinked with current affairs means we have to have basic understanding of static portion, and we have to understand how to interlink current affairs with that. So that is one thing. So from that perspective, it is important for us to understand which sources to be followed for current affairs and which sources we have to follow for static portion. Okay. Right. So firstly, if we talk from very basic UPSC point of view, can UPSC go to any private publication for giving questions? No, we cannot expect anything from private publications, though it can be from Lakshmikant, though it can be from Shankar IAS, anything. Any private publication will not be entertained by UPSC because it's a governmental organization. If a governmental organization is endorsing a private organization's material, will it be justified from UPSC's perspective? No, obviously. So we cannot expect that any particular material, particular resource, private publication would be sufficed for environment ecology. So basic resources which we can use for environment ecology is that first resource, what we can say, yes, first resource is NCERT. So if you need to learn about basic if you need to just focus on basic concepts, we have to start with NCERT class 11th and 12th. So if you see first one, if we talk about NCERT class 11th, we have one chapter called environmental chemistry. It is there in our chapter 14. Chapter 14 from chemistry book, means environmental chemistry. So this chapter, it has various concepts, basic concepts related to environmental pollution and environmental degradation. How acid rain will occur, how ozone depletion will occur, all of these would be there in class 11th, chapter 14. Okay, so that is one important source we have to follow. And apart from that, if we see in NCERT only, class 12, we see from class 12 perspective, there is unit 10, which consists of chapters 13, 14, 15, and 16. So chapter 13, 14, 15, and 16. These are related to environment and ecology. So you should read these things first. So without doing this, don't go for further preparation, because some of the basic examples which have been exclusively given in these books only, and we can never find these examples in any publication, right? So from that perspective, like, we have to read these two books. So this is one important source. So then next important source which we can rely for environment ecology is that there is a book called Environmental Studies for Undergraduates by Iraq Barucha. So there is a book. So you can just have that one. That is also very good. Environmental Studies for Undergraduates. For undergraduates, and this book has been written by an author called Iraq Barucha. But this is also problem with this book is that it is outdated. Outdated in the sense we won't have any current related aspects, only static portions we can study. And here also we don't need to worry about every chapter and entire book. Simply you can focus on 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, 5th chapter and 6th chapter. These 3 chapters are enough for our exam preparation, right? So that is one thing. And then apart from that, we can also go to other important source from internet where you can find. Have you heard of National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS? So NIOS module is there. Environmental module. Environmental module would be there, and this is one best source where you can see and where you can get the most reliable information on environment and ecology, basic concepts related to basic concepts. And whether you read this Error Barucha or not, but you have to download this NIOS material and you can study this one and you can enrich likewise. Okay, so like some important chapters, you can see the headings would be there and you can read that one. So that is one important source. So these portions, so all of these, they are simply for static portion. For covering static portion, these would be important resources. And substitute for all of this would be our class notes. Substitute in the sense we would be dealing in class everything which are important from these books and what are the important things which are necessary for our exam, and substitute would be our class notes. So don't think that our class notes would be sufficient. Try to just have a look how these chapters have been mentioned and what are the important things mentioned in these books also, right? So instead of doing this, you can just refer class notes, and for further enrichment you can refer our printed material. Okay, these are the substitutes which we can find, right? So then, which ministry is concerned with the environment? Ministry of? There is no separate ministry for environment, there is no separate ministry for forestry. So there is one ministry, that is MOEFCC. We will call it as MOEFCC. That means Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Simply we will call it as MOEFCC. So you have to regularly follow this ministry. Okay, so this ministry, if you see the website of this ministry, you can see various associated organizations, subordinate organizations like Forest Survey of India, Geological Survey of India, like that. We will have various subordinate offices, and along with that there would be some attached offices under that, like Wildlife Trust of India likewise. So there would be so many organizations under that. You have to follow that source and you have to check the website regularly, and you have to collect any data from that or any statistics or any schemes. So all of them you have to just look from this site. So that is one important site. So apart from this, there is another important portal called Envis Center. Envis Center for World. Envis Center for World Institute of Wildlife Institute. So Wildlife Institute. So you can just have that one on wildlife and protected areas. You will have one site called Envis Center. You can just refer that portal also. In this portal, you will get updated information. For example, we have so many wetlands, we have so many protected areas like national parks. How many national parks are there? By chance, anyone? National parks in India. How many national parks are there? There are 106 national parks are there. 106 national parks are there in India. So you would get the list of that updated national parks, biosphere reserves, or wildlife sanctuaries, all of them from this portal. And we have so many tiger reserves. We have so many such kind of elephant reserves. So all of them you can just find from this particular site. So we have to do this. So again, I am stressing that the things which others don't do, we have to do, because everyone will follow regular sources which are available outside. So, but what we have to do is that we have to do something new, and that new is that like we should follow such kind of things and never ever rely on simple publications for environment ecology. Try to go to official sites in the sense, for example, anything if you need to read about schemes, then go to Wikipedia and read about things related to environment and ecology schemes. And anything related to national parks likewise, if you refer the publications, they may claim this many number of national parks are there, wildlife sanctuaries are there likewise, but government will consider authentic data. Authentic data means which is being mentioned in website, ministry's websites. So if we are just picking that would be the most reliable thing. So refer them regularly and do that one. And apart from this, like what we can follow. Have you heard of India Yearbook? India Yearbook. So you can refer this India Yearbook. India Yearbook, and there would be a chapter on environment. There would be a chapter on environment in India Yearbook. This chapter will consist of recent schemes, recent initiatives, recent programs that have been launched in this particular year likewise. So pick that one and try to read this programs, initiatives, schemes which have been mentioned in this one, and try to update from internet sources. Okay, so this is one thing. And apart from this, like you can also just read or refer have you heard of Press Information Bureau? Press Information Bureau, PIB. So PIB will publish one year-end review. Year-end review. We will call that as year-end review. So like for example, if you're going to attempt the exam in 23, so you have to follow year-end review of 2022. If you go to site, you will get. So it try to analyze all the ministries works and performances. So likewise for environment ecology also, year-end review of MOEFCC ministry. Year-end review, you have to just have a look. So these are some important sources which you can use for current affairs. Okay, and along with this, like try to just have a look at some of the journals and magazines. Like have you read about heard about Science Reporter? So Science Reporter is one journal which you have to follow. Science Reporter. And then you will have one book called Down to Earth. So you can refer Down to Earth also. Down to Earth. Normally like things related to environment ecology, if there is anything related to climate change, likewise in Yojana and Kurukshetra, you can just follow that one. But these books would be important for you. Okay. And apart from this, there are some international organizations and national organizations concerned with environment and ecology. Have you heard of United Nations Organization, UNO? Under UNO, we have so many organizations. So under that, like there is one program called UNGP, that is United Nations Environment Program. So under UNGP, there would be a lot of publications, there would be a lot of data published by them. So try to follow that one also. Okay, so this thing you have to follow. And apart from that, there is another organization called IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. International Union for Conservation of Nature. And the IUCN, it regularly publishes the data of threatened species and which species are there in critically endangered position, endangered position. Let's try to understand all of them. But what you have to do after our classes, I'm just saying. So try to keep all of them in mind and follow likewise. So it will publish the kind of list called red list or red data list, which consists of information related to various species. So try to refer this side and try to follow which species or which organisms or which animals are there in which list. Okay, when we complete that portion, then you can read that one, but still keep this in mind. So this is one another thing which you have to follow, right? So likewise, we have some international Indian organizations also. So on time being, you will get to understand them. Have you heard of CPCB? CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. Central Pollution Control Board. If there is any environmental issues, like it is the organization in India which is concerned with environmental pollution control. Central Pollution Control Board, name itself it's talking about Pollution Control Board. So anything, if you see information related to these kind of organizations in news, then you will have to follow that one. Okay, and apart from this, like one source would be UNFCCC would be there. So it refers to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. United Nations Framework Convention, it's a convention on climate change. So you have to just go through its activities, and regularly it tries to conduct various conference of parties, like COP, we will call it as COP, Conference of Parties. So you have to follow the outcomes of this Conference of Parties. Like all the member states will meet and they will try to just put forward, they will take one theme and they will try to work on likewise. So recent Conference of Parties was COP 27. Okay, so COP 27. So keep those who are going to give an attempt in 23. So try to follow the various important aspects which have been picked in COP 27. So it held in Egypt at a place called where, in which place? There's a place called Sharm el Sheikh. There is a place called Sharm el Sheikh. So such places are also important for pre-point of view. So they can be asked, like in pre, like they'll give one place and they may just give one country name and they may ask you to identify the correct pairs. So Sharm el Sheikh, we might not heard of this one. They'll give like Sharm el Sheikh, somewhere they'll give in Saudi Arabia. No, it's in Egypt. So likewise, such things are important. So you can follow these things, and these are very important books and references which you have to follow. Okay, in class, let's try to cover current related aspects also, important current related aspects, and the rest things you will have to cover on your own, right? So that is one thing. And last one would be like there is one portal called Parivesh portal. Parivesh. It is one environmental related portal. So try to refer this Parivesh portal also. So you will get some other informations related to new initiatives, all of them, right? So these are very important resources you have to follow for environment and ecology. Is that clear? So, so from my side, don't rely on any single material and try to follow all of them. So you may find it difficult, You may find it difficult, but take your own time, and whenever you find time, just anyhow we'll just use WhatsApp or Facebook or something for getting recreation. So instead of that, open Ministry of Environment Ecology, so that's MYFCC, then just go through what are the various offices are there likewise. So just no need to just sit for that and do that. If you just regularly look that, then you will get it, right? So that these are nothing but various sources for environment and ecology.